Well, good morning, everybody. Grace and peace to you from our Lord Jesus Christ and all the saints here in California. Welcome to another exciting episode of Network Admin Life. Hopefully it's exciting. It's exciting for me. Even though I don't look like it, this is my excited face. So this week, I'm going to talk about a little network problem we ran into. As I've talked about before, where I'm having network vendors come in and do the switch upgrades and closet cleanups that I was doing. So in case you don't know, I came up with the way I wanted it done. I did several of the closets to make sure I had the process down. You can go back to some of my earlier videos to see how I did that. But I got busy on other projects, so management told me to farm this work out, so I did. So anyway, I'm having these vendors come in and they're replacing the switches for me. One of the series of switches that I was, what's a stack of switches that I was really worried about them doing is in our pathology lab. Now our path lab is a separate building. It's like a big warehouse and it's full of test equipment. I didn't think this was a good time to do it because of the current COVID-19 pandemic that's going on. We need all that laboratory equipment running to do tests and analyze blood and whatever else they test for in there. They test for all kinds of things. Anything you can imagine that can be in a human body, we test for it. I just thought maybe we should put that one off till later, but management said, no, let's just go ahead and get it done. You know, ask the lab when we can do it. So I asked the lab and they said, well, let's do it between 10 and noon on Monday. Okay, 10 and noon it is. I would have thought they'd want to do it in the middle of the night, but no, they wanted it. That's their slow time and that's when they wanted it done. Okay, so we did it. And everything seemed to come up pretty well. I mean, all the telephones came up, all the PCs came up. I could ping everything. They could ping out, except a lot of the test machines were not able to push their results back to our EMR service. EMR stands for Electronic Medical Records. When we got rid of all of our paper records, we went to a company called Cerner. And so all the results from the machine, in fact, everything in the whole hospital, from when you're admitted to when you're discharged, is kept in a database over at Cerner. And none of the test results were getting uploaded to Cerner. So doctor orders a test, they draw blood, they send it over to the lab, they run the test, they get the results, and it gets put back into the patient's record, and the doctor can look at it on his computer. That wasn't working. Okay, great. Well, here's the thing. The people in the lab don't know how everything's hooked up, and neither do we. I know the network side of things. I know how that's all hooked up. I could ping all the machines, no problem. Most of the machines have a PC as a head, as it were, to control it. I could ping all those PCs. So the other side of the machines, they don't use the Ethernet network to send the results back to Cerner. They use RS-232 to send results back. Some of these machines that are controlling these here in the year 2020, some of the machines that control these pieces of lab equipment run on DOS. Yes, I said DOS. Now, maybe in other parts of the world, DOS might be a little more common, maybe in some other parts of this country, but you know, for about the past 10 years, most of the DOS machines have been phased out. Not this one. 10 years ago, we were phasing out DOS machines that were like door controllers at my last job, and we were getting rid of those. So anyway, now I'm going down a rabbit trail on DOS. I'm sorry. Lab machines are not sending up the lab results over the RS-232 ports. Okay, well, how do they do that? Nobody knows. Okay, so luckily we're using my network wiring, the Ethernet wiring from the patch panel on the wall back to the patch panel in the closet. We're using those cables to route RS-232 signals. So okay, I can trace it back and see where they go. And most of them go to this device. Let me share my desktop here. Sorry, looking for mouse buttons here. Okay, let's get this out of the way. So most of them went back to this device you see right here. This is a DEC server 716. Now these used to be used as terminal servers to front end to a mini computer called a VAX. So you'd plug all your VT100 terminals in or VT220s into all these little ports right here, and you could log into the VAX and do your thing. So these are all serial ports over here, and this is the network port over here. So all these machines, these lab analyzers and blood analyzers and fungus analyzers, microbiology testers, all these RS-232 signals come out of the back of their machines and they plug in here. Okay, so I don't know anything about this, but over here, the Ethernet side, now there's something I do know about. So let's see what we can see there. So I went on the switch right here, and what I was seeing is, let me see if I can find one real quick. Show ports. Oops, too many shows there. Show port. There you go, 17. So what I would see when I would look at the port in question, and this isn't the port, this is just an example. No stands for no refresh, by the way. Here's what I would see on that DEC server. I would see link state ready. And then I would go over here, and you can barely see this little word here says link above this green light. That light was out. This little green light was on, meaning that this is the interface that's in use. If this light was on, that would mean that this interface is in use. And if you don't know what that is called an AUI interface, attachment unit interface. That was a DEC standard, Digital Equipment Corporation, a DEC standard way back in the day. You would actually have to hook a transceiver in this and plug an Ethernet cable into that. So there's a little switch over here that selects between this port and this port. This bottom light is lit, it means we're using this port. If this middle light is lit, it means we're using this port. So I flipped the switch back and forth a couple times to make sure this port was in use, and it was, but the link light was out. So like I said, I look on the switch and it says link state is ready, which means it's ready for a link, but there's really nothing there. Well, what do we do? So we pulled the cable, we tested this cable here, it was fine. We pulled it out, put another cable in just in case. On the far end patch panel, we pulled the cable out between it and the switch. It was fine. But we could not get this thing to light up. And I just kept thinking and thinking, well, DEC server, and looking at this old antiquated interface. And many of you out there may already have stumbled on the answer. Just think old. This is an old device. This is an old standard. Old. Okay, I bet this doesn't run at the speeds that this switch is running at. And sure enough, that's turned out to be the case. So what I did was, I'll scroll up here and show you the command. This command right here, I went ahead and set the speed on the port to 10 meg. I tried to set it to half duplex just in case, but my switch said, no, I don't do half duplex. So I just went ahead and turned auto negotiation off and set the speed manually to 10 megabits. And as soon as I did that, this is the actual port in question here. Here, I'll do this so you can actually see it. The port with the DEC server on it. The port state was enabled. It became active, 10 meg speed, full. And as soon as I did that, this link light over here came on, and I could see a MAC address on this DEC server. and it stopped rebooting because it just kept rebooting over and over because it couldn't find a network. So all that to say, if you're running into issues on your network, consider the devices that you're connecting to it. One of the things you may want to try to do is adjust the speed and duplex settings. Try setting it for 100 first, or half. If your switches, see my switches, the port speeds go all the way up to 1 gig. So I have 1 gig, 110 as my speed choices. A lot of the switches out there, you may only have 110, and a lot of them you may not have any choice. But most of them, if it's a switch, they're going to at least have 100 meg edge port speeds. So yeah, that's what I had to do. So that's what you may want to consider. Consider your devices. You may have an old PC out there. You may have an old printer. You may have an old DEC server out there. So yeah, try different things. Don't give up, because I wasted a lot of time trying to telnet into this thing to get its config and see how it was set up. And really all I need to do is go through and read the specs. I did this after the fact. I pulled up the manual for this, and I mean, I did it during, but I really read it carefully afterwards, after it was all said and done, and looked at the specs. And yeah, the specs were only 10 meg. So there you go. So anyway, I hope if that was not informative, I hope it was at least entertaining. So that's all I have for this week. You guys have a great week, and hopefully you can hear me this time. Hopefully the audio is better. If not, turn your volume up. But, all right, I'm starting to ramble because I need to drink my coffee. So you guys have a great week. God bless, and we'll catch you next time.